Unfortunately, the sky looked like rain. However, perhaps thanks to sleeping well while thinking of my benefactor, I woke up in a good condition. Stretching my back and looking at the other side of the bed, Nohl had already gone off to work. I've been thinking about this for a while, but when does Nohl sleep? Yeah, justice never sleeps in the city. From what I've seen, he works in his room until late at night and starts his day right at sunrise. Therefore, even though we might share a bed, I didn't feel like we were living together. We don't even have any contact. Really, what is that guy thinking? It's hard to believe that he might be concerned for me standing in front of the minister's mansion until late every day. Nah, that can't be it. There's no reason why Nohl would be nice to the woman he hates. Yes. Keep going down that path. From the morning, I started getting dressed with a wry smile, thinking about my silly thoughts. Alright, let's work hard today too. After getting dressed, I tapped my cheeks to increase my motivation. Now I'm ready, both physically and mentally. As I started walking vigorously, I reached for the door.
Good morning.
A voice rang out from the other side of the door, at a distance that made me feel like he'd been watching. I pulled my hand back in surprise, and an inquiring voice chased after it.
May I enter?
Yeah.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning. Even if it's true, I still felt prickly at being addressed as Madam, as Nohl's wife. If I didn't clam up about it, I might have started complaining to Esta, who had nothing to do with anything, so I pursed my lips. Good. I mean, I'm really glad that Esta addresses her in a different way from Naran. So to just have, like, some separation there, I appreciate it personally.
I have a message from Lord Nohl.
He spoke with his usual fake smile. I could predict what he was going to say just from that introduction.
His message is, it would be wise to not go out in this rain. Well, considering that it's you, I doubt anything I say will sway you.
With the accuracy of his message, I could imagine Nohl's expression when he said it, which is why hearing it in Esta's flat tones made it more interesting. I exhaled unconsciously, and Esta looked down on me expressionless. Ah, he might be curious about this. Esta either has his fake smile or no expression at all. If one of those is the real one, it'd probably be the expressionless one. His facial muscles don't move, but his vibe changes slightly. Having noticed this recently makes it easier to get along with him. He's extremely lacking in emotional expressions. Thinking about that, I end up staring at him. Esta tilted his head slightly. Sorry, it's nothing.
You will be going out?
I am.
Given these clouds, it looks like heavy rain. Despite that, you're still going.
Yeah, especially for a day like this, I have to go. Thanks for the message.
It is my job.
Speaking of, if his master is working the way that he is, his subordinate must be under even more stress. I worried about him a little. Especially if he's just filing it away under work, there must be times when it gets to be too much. It must be pretty difficult to work under that kind of supervisor.
Difficult.
Rather than thinking about it, it was like he was reciting it back to me, as if to say, that's the first time I've heard that word. Has he really never thought that? Esta, not making any slight movements, cast a doubtful gaze in my direction, which was still expressionless. How can it be doubtful and expressionless at the same time? Wouldn't you like to have some free time?
Perhaps I would be granted that if I asked, but I don't particularly want it.
He doesn't want free time. For my sensibilities, that's a little... No, a lot odd. Not to mention that his work is that of Nohl's secretary. There's no way it wasn't exhausting. Does he really like Nohl, or does he admire him? Hard to think of either. At first I thought he was so businesslike because it was me, but watching him carefully, he acts the same around Nohl as well. It's not that he hates us, but it doesn't look like he particularly likes us either. It's like he's just established a work relationship. I wonder how he came to serve Nohl. Esta, how did you come to get to know Nohl? I feel like there was an expression change there. At that time, I felt like the air around Esta had suddenly become tense.
It's not a particularly interesting story, so I shall refrain from sharing it.
I'm sorry. It's not something you want to talk about.
Not particularly. I just don't think that hearing my personal story is of any benefit to you.
It's not about gaining something. I just want to hear your story. If you really don't mind, then I'd like to hear it.
My story?
Yes, I am interested in you. Upon speaking my honest feelings, Esta blinked a few times and tilted his head. For Esta, this might have been his biggest expression of surprise.
Why?
I just want to have someone to complain to Nohl to. I mean, the I'd like to get to know you better is, it's gotta be for Esta, right? I do want to hear his story, but it's not his time yet. Alright, I feel like I can't go wrong with the bottom one. I'm gonna leave that alone. I just want to have someone to complain about Nohl to.
I believe there are better candidates for that.
But, you know, you also must have complaints about Nohl, right?
I do not, as it is my work. At any rate, if you are going out, I believe now is the time to leave, is it not?
Ah, right. I'm sorry to have bothered your work.
No, my apologies for me stopping you here. Please, go ahead.
All right, I'm off.
Please take care.
Maybe it was all in my head, but the voice that sent me off seemed a little softer than usual. Ooh, we got rain. Think of it as a show of sincerity. If I only came on sunny days and didn't come on the rainy days, you'd think that was the extent of my dedication. If that happened, everything I've done up to now would be a waste. The deadline is approaching. There's no time to wait for the rain to clear up. I don't want things to end because I ran out of time. Waiting for someone in the rain. That's a difficult experience. The rainfall gradually increases, making it feel like I'm taking a bath. I feel like you're gonna get wickedly ill. Perhaps because of the weather, there were no gatekeepers at the gate today. It seems they were guarding the other side of the gate. It's cold. The merciless heavy rainfall took the heat away. But I can't give up here. I gradually felt chilly, and the rainwater got into my eyes and it hurt. I rubbed them with my hands, but they still hurt. What's wrong? Now I'm getting strangely hot. I was cold before, but now I'm getting hot. Oh boy, yep. My vision is getting cloudy as my temperature rises. You were already overtired, and now you're getting wet and cold. Oh boy. Well, this has a potential for one of my favorite tropes. We'll see if it happens. Not because of the rain, but because the contours of things are becoming vague. And a terrible headache rushed in like a wave as I held my forehead. This is bad. I'm getting cold again. Should I sit more comfortably while I wait? No. Maintaining this posture while I wait shows that I'm disciplined. Oh boy, we're getting wiggly now. When I stood up to change my posture, the world shook and my head felt heavier. It hurts. Maybe I should wait a little longer and then go home. Maybe I should be a little easier on myself, but I immediately rethink things over and shake my head. It'd be pointless to lose here. The moment I made up my mind, I felt the ground warping. The distortion spreads to my feet as I feel like I'm going to fall over. Even if I try to hold on and recharge myself, my sense of balance disappears. My wobbling head hurts as if I was hit by a blunt object. Ultimately, not only the ground, but my entire field of vision was distorted, which made me feel even worse. It's no good. I'm at my limit. Thanks to the wet ground, the impact of the fall was less than I expected. Or my senses might be dulled. I tried to put my strength into my limbs to get up, but it ended in failure. My head boiled as I thought, what if the minister saw me like this? The sound of the rain became stronger. I wonder if this is where I die. In front of someone's house, with no one noticing. Despite being tired, I find myself worrying about stupid things. I couldn't put my thoughts together. At that time, I thought I heard someone sigh. Could it be the minister? Feeling madness, I tried to stand up, but it didn't go well. My emotions were a mess, but my hands and feet would no longer obey me. My limbs had become useless, just heavy appendages, and all I could do was crawl along like an insect. I could only mutter, "Minister," feeling like I wanted to cry. After a while, an apathetic voice fell down together with the rain.
You really are tremendously foolish. There's no point in doing this. You're giving it your all for a wish that won't be granted.
I don't even have the power to look up, but I knew who was there. Why was Nohl standing here in the rain?
Nohl?
I sensed him crouch and felt his breath near me. Hello. I felt what was probably raindrops dripping onto my cheeks from his blonde hair.
I should have killed you. Then I wouldn't feel so confused.
What a terrible thing to say. Not something you'd say to your fallen wife. Girl's still sassy as she's fading from this world. But, contrary to the word's meaning, the sound that reached my ears was sweet, and I smiled. Even I wondered why. Perhaps I was happy to feel like I finally touched some part of Nohl's soul. That's good. But I'm probably gonna die soon. I was only half joking, but at this rate that ending wasn't too far off. This time I laughed with a self-depreciating smirk. Then, in the next moment, I felt as if my body was floating in the air. I felt warmth touching my cheek that had been laying on the cold ground. No way. Absolutely no way. There's no way that Nohl would be carrying me. This must be some kind of convenient dream. I rubbed my face against his wide chest while feeling fuzzy. As I was immersed in this comfort, I lost consciousness. Aw, he picked her up and carried her home in the rain. My heart is so full. This is the best. There's so much about this I love. It's hot, stuffy. My head hurts. Raising my heavy eyelids, I could see a familiar ceiling. However, it bent as I was looking at it. Oh, good lord. Oh, no. She's got the vertigo. I feel you, girl. I can... yeah. I closed my eyes, waited a moment, and opened them again. This time the ceiling began to rotate. I feel awful. Like I'm going to throw up. With my body overcome with a headache and fever, the only thing to do was to sleep. It was when I closed my eyes, trying to go to sleep to escape feeling awful, when...
Have you awoken?
I moved my neck, squinting at the voice. It was probably Nohl, but due to my fever, I couldn't be so sure. Not just my field of vision, even my thoughts were distorting. However, I do think that I've taken actions that I would normally never do. From the heart, I reached out with my hand, seeking warmth. I just wanted to feel someone's presence and make sure that I wasn't dead. Our fingertips touched, and for a moment I stopped moving out of confusion. His fingertips slid along my palms, slowly turned inside, and then grasped my entire hand. Oh, my heart. Even though this is what I wanted, I was surprised to have my hand taken.
No.
I felt strangely happy, perhaps due to the fever making my brain weird. Tears poured out as I felt energy leaving my body. Your hands are cold but comfortable.
I see.
Thank you. Thanks to that, I could sleep a little. I'll thank him later when I wake up. Upon thinking that, I felt a wet cloth placed on my forehead. If I close my eyes comfortably, I can fall into a deep sleep. I wake up, feeling thirsty. The surroundings were already dark. Perhaps a long time has passed.
Would you like to drink water?
A water jug was put out as if it were a matter of fact, and I hesitated for a moment. Had he been by my side all night? I love that trope. Yes, good. Just him taking care of her while she's sick. So good.
Here, open your mouth.
Still confused, I opened my mouth as directed. The tip of the jug was placed between my open lips, and cold water flowed into my mouth. My stomach cooled slightly, and I felt a little better. Am I still dreaming? A kind Nohl, but could only be happening in a dream. I muttered in a feverish tone and heard a smirking laugh. Okay, this has to be a dream. I can't possibly believe Nohl would laugh so gently. But I wonder why. Strangely, I thought that this way of laughing was more like Nohl. His shoulders weren't so stiff and he looked natural. He always smiles cynically at me, but I wonder why. This is more like you. As he smiled, Nohl tilted his face. His blinking eyes were like the calm surface of a lake that I wanted to just stare into. Nohl, your name.
My name?
Like a blue lake. It's perfect for you. I hadn't thought of it before, but it suits you. A beautiful, clear color.
If that's how you see me, then I am disappointed.
Why?
I have discarded such things. I was inspired by your recklessness and temporarily remembered.
That's a waste. It's so beautiful.
Go to sleep. Your fever will go up if you continue talking.
I'm not sleepy.
Do not speak as if you are a spoiled child.
A spoiled child. Speaking of, whenever I got a fever, my father would often tell me fairy tales. Listening to him, I'd naturally get sleepy. Those times. I was really happy then. I had a father and a mother, and wasn't at all worried about getting kidnapped. I spent every day enveloped in the love of my parents, and we didn't need anything in order to have fun and be happy. I was so happy. So happy. So then how did I end up in this world? Remembering this, I became strangely sentimental and burst into tears. Perhaps I've gone crazy due to being feverish and feeling lonely. Nohl must be fed up with me. I closed my eyes with a wry smile and heard an unexpected voice. Stop! He's a softie! He's a softie! I was so hoping actually like, oh, my dad used to tell me stories. He's like, I shall tell you a story. Oh, this is great. This is everything and more that I could have ever hoped for from this route.
Then I shall tell you a fairy tale.
Surprised, I stared at Nohl wordlessly. Nohl didn't return my gaze and began speaking with his eyes focused on the covers.
Once upon a time, there was a prince in an island country. He was a very talented and wise prince. However, that prince was the 7th child.
Okay, very specific.
In his country, the important positions are given in order from the oldest brother, so no matter how talented he was, he couldn't get a significant position. The prince was very irritated by this. After all, he was so talented that he was touted as a child prodigy, to the point where he himself had developed a sense of superiority. He had a design to show off his talent and be praised for it. The 7th prince was young enough to have these foolish desires. The prince's older brothers took advantage of his youth. These brothers always asked the 7th prince for his opinions whenever they were in trouble, because they knew his brain, despite being that of a child, would be most useful. At first, he felt good and wanted to help his beloved brothers. And he helped them out a lot. But no matter how much he did, no matter how good he was, he would not be given a significant position. The prince gradually came to question this reality. His wish was to be able to test out his abilities as much as he could. But all of the important positions that would determine the country's position would go to the older brothers. The 7th brother had no authority. And the prince despaired at the reality that his efforts would never be acknowledged. Then, one day, the 2nd brother approached the 7th as he often did. The prince, desperate for the future, finally spilled his feelings. The older brother said with a laugh, "If by the time you grow up, you become the number 1 in martial arts and scholarship, I'll exchange positions with you."
That's why you're like, your wish will never be realized, because you made a similar bet with your family and they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. What butts? I'll fight them. Who do I gotta fight? I'm going right now.
The prince was delighted with his brother's words and made a promise. They even exchanged documents to ensure the promise would not be broken.
Damn, you were a smart little kid. You're like, get it down in writing, make a contract. And even that wasn't good enough.
The 7th prince worked hard every day, working himself to the bone. The training was harsh, but the promise kept him going. And finally, the day came to show his results. The prince participated in a swordsmanship tournament, won it, and then proved himself in both literary and martial arts.
That's why you're so good at throwing that knife and fighting. Dang, you're Batman, dude.
And thus the long-awaited coming-of-age day arrived. The 7th prince went to go see the 2nd prince, of course to have the promise fulfilled. Then the other brother roared with laughter. Finally he turned to the 7th prince and said, "I forgot about that old promise." At that time, the 7th prince realized just how foolish he had been. Women, jewels, money. In a world where he could have it all, the only thing he wanted was a position where his abilities would be acknowledged. Yes. After all, the prince was just an incompetent fool who couldn't even gain a place to exert his own abilities. Since then, the 7th prince lived together with everyone with a smile on the surface. It was too much trouble to resist anymore. But inwardly, he started to hate his incompetent brothers. They were incompetent, and trash who could so easily break their own promises, so that was only natural. The prince realized that instead of living a life filled with hope, that there was nothing quite as cruel as a dream, and thus began to live a life full of terrible self-indulgence. Perhaps leading such a life brought the wrath of the spirits. The prince was attacked by pirates while out at sea, and stranded. Perhaps he had a lot of bad luck. However, not only did he not die, but he also happened to arrive at a country in the northern continent. The northern king said, "This country is in a state of disorder now. Please lend me your abilities." He begged the prince with such sincere eyes. Ironic, isn't it? The place he was swept away to was the place he wanted, a place where he could fully exert his abilities. So, the prince decided to live in this country. Quite the happy day.
Even with my fever, I knew. This is Nohl's past. The voice and eyes that spoke this tale were quite eloquent. Well, at least he's eloquent while opening his heart to us. Nohl probably told me this, knowing I would figure it out. Why? I wanted to ask, but I felt that if I did, this atmosphere would disappear like bubbles, so all I could do was look. His past, retold as a fairy tale, permeated my heart. Is this why Nohl doesn't believe in hope? That's sad. But the prince had ascended in this way. Even in hindsight, Nohl's position wasn't the result of his efforts. The prince remembered his dream, and that's why he was able to meet the Northern King. At least, I believe so. However, doesn't the prince, or Nohl, miss his home country? Judging from his story, it seems like he hasn't had any sort of contact with his home. If all your... let's, for the sake of argument, let's say all his brothers were indeed incompetent. So, what state is that country in now at this point? Are any of them still alive? I have many questions. Does the seventh prince ever miss his home?
No, not at all. The prince only remembers humiliation. He does not feel nostalgic, but perhaps feelings of hatred.
I see. Hey, Nohl.
Yes.
Oh gosh, which one of these do I want to pick? I don't feel like he feels this way, though. It wasn't a reward, it was just kind of like... luck? Chance? It wasn't like he worked his way to this country. It just kind of happened. But... maybe this is the more important question to ask. Okay. He liked it. I wonder if the prince is happy now.
Why do you say that?
If people who work hard aren't rewarded, they'll become sad. I want everyone to be rewarded for their hopes and efforts.
You are more foolish than the prince. That foolish straightforwardness is quite troublesome.
You don't hold back.
But perhaps the most annoying thing is this feeling in my heart that I might not want to get rid of your stupidity.
What do you mean? As I was searching for the meaning to his words, a knock on the door rang out. Aw, man, this was like the longest moment of just genuine sweetness happening between these two. And I got interrupted by a knock! Nohl wrinkled his eyebrows and responded with disinterest.
What do you want?
His Majesty is calling for you to discuss tomorrow's agenda.
Understood. I'll be heading there immediately.
He's got the assembly tomorrow, but he still stayed by my side. The day before the assembly is very busy, gathering materials and writing response documents, so I'm sure he will be quite busy with work. Then why did he stay by my side? Nohl, you do hate me, right? he always has an instant retort ready, so in times like these, I'd rather he not stay silent. I don't need any unnecessary misunderstandings. If I start misunderstanding, I might start trying to read deeper into his actions up to now. I don't want to get conceited now and disappointed later, Nohl. Don't you play with my heart.
You really are stupid.
In a sense, I was relieved as expected. On the other hand, my chest hurts somewhere. He didn't say he hates you, he just said you're stupid. I think you've misinterpreted what he just said. I smiled wryly, and a white hand stretched out on my eyelids. It seemed to be saying, "Go to sleep already." I was just getting sleepy, so I tried to obey his silent command. Okay. Well, things have certainly escalated quickly, but I'm not upset about it. I'd rather this hand not be here, but otherwise, carry on.
If you believe, you will be deceived.
The faint smell on incense of Nohl's skin wafted into the tip of my nose. As I could feel his presence approaching, I suddenly felt something soft upon my lips. It was a light touch that slowly moved away. What was that just now? As soon as the hand covering me was removed, I tried to confirm the true meaning of those actions. But when I opened my eyes, I could only see Nohl's back. I couldn't move due to the fever, so I had no way of confirming what he was thinking or what kind of expression he had.
Go to sleep.
Does believe mean that I believe Nohl hates me? If so, then the meaning of deception would be, if I carry the two... That can't be it. I'm overthinking it. Given that this is Nohl, he may be enjoying seeing me flustered. Thinking about our interactions up to now, it's natural to think so. That's why this is just a prank. Just a prank, bruh. After hitting me with a whip, he gives me a sweet piece of candy. That's how things go between us. Yeah? As I closed my eyes to forget, I remember the feeling on my eyelids and sigh. I wish this strange confusion would be washed away with the rain. It really is annoying.